Hi there. You clicked on this video because you were seeking something audacious, weren't you? Rest assured, you've arrived at the perfect destination. No tedious waiting, no protracted build-up. This story delivers precisely what you came for, unapologetically. If you're a cherished regular in our little corner of the internet, please don't forget to grace us with a like and subscribe. And if this is your maiden voyage, a warm, heartfelt welcome. I sincerely hope you find enjoyment in what unfolds. Now, let us begin. His breath, a hot, intoxicating whisper against the sensitive skin of my neck as he leaned in, his voice a low, conspiratorial murmur. Does your husband ever make you feel quite like this? I didn't answer immediately. I couldn't. My palms were pressed firmly against the cool, unyielding granite of the sink's edge, a desperate attempt to ground myself as his hands held my hips with a possessive, knowing familiarity, as if he already knew the unspoken answer to his provocative question. I swallowed, a difficult, constricted movement, then managed a breathless, defiant smirk. Does your wife, I retorted, my voice a husky whisper, permit you to indulge in this with her? I leaned back into him, a deliberate, provocative movement, allowing my body to articulate the answer my lips could not. He let out a sound, a guttural, ambiguous noise that hovered somewhere between a knowing laugh and a predatory growl. You didn't answer. I didn't need to. My body, in its uninhibited, shameless response, already had. The heat that arced between us wasn't merely physical. It was the intoxicating, illicit thrill that comes from getting away with something forbidden. From the acute awareness that we shouldn't be doing this. From the even more potent knowledge that we weren't even remotely close to stopping. My heart pounded harder, a frantic wild drum against my ribs, with every passing second that we continued this clandestine dance. As if it could sense, with an animalistic prescience, that this moment was borrowed, stolen, ephemeral. As if it knew with a chilling certainty that we were mere heartbeats away from something or someone irrevocably breaking. I reached back for him, an instinctive, unthinking gesture. He caught my wrists, his grip steadier, more assured than my husband's had ever been, and held them firmly, almost pinning them against the cool surface of the counter. The unexpected restraint sent a jolt, a raw, electric shock coursing through me, the kind of visceral sensation I hadn't experienced in years, not in the sterile confines of my home, not in the predictable landscape of my own bed. Ryan's mouth was at my ear again, his voice a seductive, insidious whisper. You love that she has absolutely no idea, don't you? That name, she. It flickered through my mind, a stark, insistent warning light. Her face, her voice, the cherished friend who had placed her unwavering trust in me. But then, his fingers slid lower, a slow, deliberate, exquisitely torturous exploration, effectively pulling the very air from my lungs, and the nascent thought, the pang of guilt, was instantaneously, mercilessly extinguished. I bit my lip hard, the small pain a perverse counterpoint to the escalating pleasure. The rhythm between us quickened, becoming less careful, more urgent, more demanding, as if we both instinctively knew, with a shared, unspoken understanding, that our stolen time was rapidly dwindling. The pace of our illicit encounter grew heavier, more intense. The usually quiet kitchen filled with the sound of hurried, desperate movement, the rustle of clothing, the sharp, ragged gasps of restless, unbridled motion. Ryan, he moved again. A deliberate, sudden, powerful thrust, and I gripped the counter, my knuckles white as my breath hitched, caught, stolen by his possessive palm. That was what Ryan did to me. That was what my husband, in all his well-meaning predictability, couldn't. Everything else, the world outside that kitchen, my responsibilities, my vows, faded into an insignificant, hazy blur. He filled the aching, cavernous space within me that my husband had never, could never occupy. I was gone, lost, adrift in the hushed, intoxicating rhythm of his movements, a willing captive to the undeniable weight of him behind me, until I looked up. Claire. She was already there, standing silently in the doorway, her arms crossed, a silent, damning witness watching us. And we couldn't even stop. I was frozen. Every muscle, every nerve ending, seized by a paralyzing cocktail of shock and terror. But Ryan? Ryan wasn't. The instant I saw her, every fiber of my being screamed, shrieked for this to stop. My hands pushed forward, a desperate, futile attempt to break his relentless momentum, to pull away, to disentangle myself from this catastrophic mess. But he didn't let me. His arms locked tighter, like bands of steel around my waist, holding me immovably in place, as if he knew I'd panic, as if he had been somehow perversely prepared for this very eventuality. "Wait!" I gasped. The word a broken, fractured sound, half breath, half desperate, hopeless plea. He didn't slow down. If anything, he drew me back with even more force, my hands slamming painfully into the unyielding counter. The words I had intended to say, the excuses, the apologies, vanished, swallowed by the overwhelming, undeniable weight of him behind me. He kept moving, his rhythm steady, relentless, utterly consuming, and my body, that shameless, traitorous entity, betrayed me instantly, shamelessly. She was still there, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. I expected screaming, rage, a torrent of accusations, something, anything. Instead, she tilted her head, a small, almost curious gesture, and set her purse down on the kitchen table with a deliberate, unnerving calmness, as if she'd just returned home from a perfectly ordinary day at work. Then she removed her coat, draping it neatly, meticulously, over the back of a nearby chair, and sat. Her eyes, those piercing, knowing eyes, never once left me. "You two seem to be having fun," she said, her voice disconcertingly light, almost amused. I opened my mouth, but no sound emerged. My pulse was a frantic, chaotic symphony, thundering in my neck, my chest, my stomach. I was still rocking, involuntarily, with the undeniable momentum of his thrusts. He kept driving, and I was caught, ensnared in his unyielding grip, excruciatingly aware of his every movement, every ragged sound, every agonizing, endless second of her watching us. Ryan didn't even hesitate. "Yeah," he breathed out from behind me, the sound laced with a triumphant, almost taunting grin. "She's amazing." And then he moved with an even greater, more deliberate intent, as if he were determined to prove his assertion, to underscore his conquest. I let out a sound, a raw, strangled cry that I couldn't catch, couldn't suppress in time. My knees buckled, threatening to give way. "Claire." Claire smiled. A small, enigmatic, utterly chilling smile. My thoughts were a chaotic, swirling blur. I tried to look at her, to decipher her expression, to find some clue, some hint of what she was thinking, feeling. But all I could truly feel, all I was truly aware of, was the way he moved against me, steady, relentless, consuming. I was lost in it, adrift, a passive participant in my own degradation, watched, observed, and neither of them, neither Ryan nor Claire, seemed to be in any kind of hurry whatsoever. Claire crossed her legs slowly, languidly, as if she were settling in for a protracted, leisurely spectacle. Then she leaned forward, opened her purse with a deliberate, unhurried movement, and pulled out her phone. She pressed it to her ear, turning slightly away, but not completely, not enough to grant me even a sliver of privacy. "Good news," she said, her voice bright, cheerful, disarmingly casual. "Yeah, it's finally happening." I didn't know who she was talking to. I couldn't even begin to think straight. I was bracing myself on the counter, my breath catching, hitching, with every powerful shift of pressure, my body moving on a desperate, shameful autopilot, while my mind scrambled frantically to make sense of anything, of this surreal, nightmarish tableau. She ended the call, slid the phone back into her purse with a neat, precise movement, and stood. Then, to my utter, uncomprehending horror, she started undressing. Her eyes met mine, locked there, a silent, intense communication, and didn't let go as she slowly, deliberately, slipped her shirt over her head. Then the skirt. No rush, no hint of shame, no flicker of hesitation. She let it fall, a whisper of fabric against the floor, and walked forward towards us. Her gaze held mine, unwavering, like a shared, dark, intoxicating secret. Slow, soundless, utterly, shamelessly bare. I didn't understand. My brain, overloaded, short-circuited, simply couldn't keep up. She was undressing, walking towards us while I was still shifting, still being held captive, still being ill. And then Ryan stopped. My back tensed with the final echoing reverberation of his motion. And then, everything hung suspended in that charged, electric silence. No signal, no whisper, just a profound, unnerving stillness. His hands remained on my hips, his breath a warm, hovering presence at my neck, waiting. He didn't pull away. He just held me there, poised, waiting for her. Claire reached me. She stood directly in front of me, calm, quiet, her nudity a stark, undeniable statement. Her fingers touched my chin, then lifted it, steady, slow, compelling. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even breathe properly. She leaned in and kissed me. I didn't know what the kiss meant. I didn't understand its implications. I just knew, with a paralyzing certainty, that I couldn't move. Claire pulled back slowly, her lips still achingly close, her eyes locked unwaveringly to mine. Her fingers brushed my jaw, a touch softer, more tender than it had any right to be, and then her hand slid down inexorably until it found mine, her fingers lacing with my own. She didn't speak. I just followed. My legs were unsteady, threatening to betray me. My breath caught, a painful knot halfway up my throat. I could still feel Ryan behind me, a silent, potent, ever-present reality, his presence like a second shadow pulse against my skin. We moved through the living room together, a bizarre, surreal procession. Claire led me to the couch, stopped, and then turned to him. No words were exchanged, just a glance, a silent, loaded communication that spoke volumes. Ryan sat. Then she guided me again, lower this time onto his lap. I settled there, my back pressed against his chest. He adjusted himself beneath me with that same steady, unnerving confidence, his arms wrapping around my waist as if nothing had changed. as if we were merely picking up seamlessly right where we had left off. And then he shifted beneath me, slower this time, more deliberate, as if every single motion was intended to linger, to resonate, to be savoured. Claire leaned in, positioning herself between my knees, her gaze never once leaving mine, a silent, hypnotic tether. She kissed me again, soft, slow, open-mouthed, and her hands slid over my thighs, a possessive, claiming touch. She didn't rush. She didn't ask. She just moved how she wanted to, with an effortless, almost regal assurance, and I let her. Then her lips drifted downward, leaving a trail of searing warmth behind, down my chest, over the quivering expanse of my stomach. Her hands never left my skin, just followed the path of her lips, steady, warm, relentless. When she dropped to her knees before me, I felt the shift, not just in height, but in the intensity of the heat, the focus of her attention. Her breath hovered low, teasing, tantalizing, just where she hadn't yet touched. Ryan moved behind me, slow and steady, his hands on my hips, anchoring me, holding me firmly in place as Claire leaned forward. Her mouth kept moving, slow, unhurried, exquisitely torturous. I gasped, a quiet, sharp, involuntary sound, and reached out blindly for something, anything to hold on to. My fingers found Ryan's wrists, my legs tensed, but her hands gently guided them still, keeping me pliant, completely in her rhythm. He pulled me closer, his movements steady, sure. She pressed in, and in that moment, I forgot who was doing what, who was where. My head fell back onto Ryan's shoulder, a gesture of complete, utter surrender. My lips parted with words I never finished, sounds that dissolved into breathless moans. My chest rose and fell, with every breath she so expertly, so deliberately stole. Every time I thought I might fall, might teeter over that precipice, she slowed just enough, pulled back just enough, to keep me from tipping, from finding release. She was playing me not just physically, but fully, masterfully. And then, it overwhelmed me. Sharp, breathless, impossible to hold back, impossible to contain. My voice caught in my throat, then broke free with one sharp, piercing cry that didn't even sound like me, like it belonged to someone else entirely. Ryan held me tighter, his arms a constricting band around me. Claire didn't move. She just waited, patiently, knowingly, while it all rolled through me, wave after crashing, convulsive wave, as if she knew, with an almost preternatural certainty, that it wouldn't stop right away. Then finally she stood, walked across the room with a calm, unhurried grace, picked up her phone from the side table, tapped the screen a few times, and looked pleased. "I know this is a lot," she said, her voice softer now, almost gentle. "And you're probably still trying to understand what exactly this is." She opened a nearby drawer, pulled out a length of dark cloth, and walked back towards me, still bare, still calm, still completely, utterly in control. "But we have one more surprise for you." She reached out and, with a gentle, almost tender touch, tied the cloth around my eyes. The world disappeared, plunging me into a velvet, terrifying darkness. "You can come in now," she called out, her voice clear, authoritative. I heard footsteps, a new set, unfamiliar, getting closer. And then I heard something else, a clink, a faint metallic slide, the distinct sound of a belt buckle, the subtle, unmistakable sound of it loosening. I wanted to scream. Everything in me, every nerve, every muscle, was shaking, vibrating with a potent cocktail of fear and a perverse, undeniable anticipation. My breath, my thoughts, my legs, still trembling, still weak from what had just happened. I couldn't see him, couldn't stop it, didn't even know who he was. Claire had called him in. Ryan was still behind me, his body a solid, unyielding presence, holding me steady, and no one, absolutely no one, said a word. Then I heard it again, more clearly this time. The soft slide of fabric against skin, the metallic clink of a belt buckle against tile, the steady, measured sound of footsteps drawing inexorably closer. I flinched, an involuntary, full-body tremor, but Ryan's hands didn't move. They stayed right where they were, firm, grounding me like unshakable anchors. I wanted to stop this, to fight, to resist. But my body, that treacherous, disobedient vessel, didn't listen. And then I felt him. Closer now. So much closer. The stranger's breath moved near my neck. Warm, unfamiliar. The space between us closing with an unnerving, deliberate calm. His hands touched my legs, gently but firmly easing them farther apart. His touch slow, confident, almost proprietary. I gasped, a sharp, choked sound, when his body pressed fully into mine. No pause, no warning, no pretense of a question. It was already happening, and I couldn't pretend, not even to myself, that it wasn't. I didn't want to make a sound, I truly didn't, but it escaped anyway. Raw, uncontrolled, a primal whimper of surrender. Claire giggled behind me, a low, throaty, knowing sound, her arms wrapping around my chest, holding me close, as if she'd been waiting, anticipating this very moment. He moved with a rhythm that demanded nothing, yet somehow, insidiously, took everything. My body responded before I could think, before I could even begin to process. Claire kissed my cheek, whispering something soft, something unintelligible into my ear. Words I couldn't hold on to, couldn't decipher, only feel. They made no sense, and yet, somehow, perversely, they did. Then, everything shifted. Arms lifted me again, guiding me forward, lowering me down. And in that disorienting, sightless haze, I didn't know whose arms they were anymore. I was eased onto him, skin to skin, breath to breath, a seamless, terrifying merging. The couch adjusted beneath us as he settled under me, his hands firm, possessive at my waist, coaxing me, urging me to move. I braced myself for more, for an escalation, but he didn't rush. He just moved with a quiet, unnerving control, as if he already knew, with an almost omniscient certainty, just how far I'd go, just how much I'd take. Who is he? He was beneath me now, solid, patient, undeniably in control, and somehow, inexplicably, I was already moving. Not by conscious choice, not by volition, but by a relentless, undeniable momentum. Claire kissed me again. A deep, lingering, possessive kiss. And in that moment, I realized, with a shocking, devastating clarity, that I had given in completely. Everything blurred. Heat, skin, air, sensation. I couldn't hold on to anything, couldn't grasp any semblance of reality. Her hand came to the back of my head, pressing lightly, gently, guiding me lower, further. I followed without asking why, without even questioning. Then, another grip, steady, sure. I felt the shift behind me as someone aligned themselves with me, fitting into place, a perfect, terrifying complement. My breath caught with a jolt, a violent tremor that tore through my chest, and my body folded, contorted, suspended between them. No one stopped. They moved together, fitting, sinking, knowing, and I couldn't escape. Not even if I had wanted to. Not even if I had possessed the strength to try. I could barely think, but I moved, my body an automaton responding to their silent, relentless commands. There were two of them now, one beneath, one behind, surrounding me, consuming me from both sides, while Claire stayed close, her hands cupping my face, her mouth warm, insistent against my ear, keeping me present, keeping me here in every conceivable way. My legs trembled again, violently. Every shared rhythm, every coordinated movement pulled me higher, tighter, closer to something I wasn't ready to name, something I wasn't sure I could survive. I was floating, adrift on the very edge, stretched so thin, so taut, that I felt as if I might break, might shatter into a million irreparable pieces. I couldn't hold on, couldn't think. My thoughts scattered, dissolved into a meaningless, incoherent jumble. All that remained was motion, pressure, breath, and the overwhelming, inexorable rush of something I couldn't stop. Something I no longer even wanted to stop. Then the man beneath me shifted, rising just enough, his movement powerful, decisive. One hand steadied my back, the other lifted, reaching for the blindfold. He pulled off the fabric covering my eyes. Light flooded back in, harsh, blinding. The blur sharpened, coalesced. Eyes, skin, and then a face. A face I knew. He looked right at me. A calm, almost serene smile playing on his lips. Michael. My husband. And then he spoke, his voice low, steady, resonant. Let go. He moved once more. Slow, complete, certain. And I broke. I broke into a million pieces I couldn't possibly hold together. Shattering, dissolving, utterly, gloriously, terrifyingly undone. That's the end of the story. Now I truly, genuinely want to know, did it land for you? Was there a particular moment that stuck with you, that resonated, or perhaps something that didn't quite sit right? I'd love to hear your unvarnished thoughts. Your feedback, honestly, helps me make these narratives better, more impactful. And before you head out, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, for being a part of this journey.
Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts, like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more.